guys, I'm here today to talk about the original Star Wars trilogy. I've talked about the prequels. I have not gotten to the Disney ones yet. That will be in the next video, but this is the video for the original trilogy. So I haven't talked about the original trilogy. I don't think ever on this channel, other than maybe a little bit in the prequel video. So this is completely new news to you guys, so I hope you enjoy it. I will be starting with A New Hope, then Empire Strikes Back, and then of course Return of the Jedi. So let's get started on A New Hope. Oh, and also if you care, there will be spoilers, but these movies came out a long time ago, so yeah, I don't think you should care for movies that came out 30 years ago. Okay, let's get started. For real this time on A New Hope. This is a fun and enjoyable movie. I really like it. I think the characters are the thing that really helped this movie. It's just a fun way to start, and I also really like the atmosphere of this movie. I think it starts really well with my favorite character, C-3PO. I don't know why C-3PO is my favorite, other than he's funny, but C-3PO became my favorite Star Wars character when I was watching these movies. So take that as you will. And it starts out having such a cool way because it shows the plot. Showing the plot and not starting with the characters is not something many movies do, but I think it really helps this movie because, especially for when this movie came out, movies like this didn't exist. There wasn't a Star Wars every day. Like, you didn't have big movies like this that helped inspire all these different movies that we now know and love. This was a completely new concept, and just starting it in the way that they did and not introducing Luke right away was great. Although I love Luke, I think Luke's a great character. I think it was a really good move for them to make for it not to be right away. Luke is a great protagonist. I'm now gonna move on to Luke. I think Luke is the perfect protagonist for these movies. He is interesting and fun, and although some people could say he's just a boring, perfect protagonist, I don't really think that. Oh, I think he's one of one of the best protagonists that Star Wars has had. I really like what they do with him, and also his relationship with all the other characters is done really well, which helps the movie be the great movie that it is. This movie is just a good way to start it out. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Star Wars movie, but I would say it's probably in my top 5, maybe even in my top 3. I really like this movie. Although it's nothing crazy like The Empire Strikes Back, it's just a fun, enjoyable movie for you to get into Star Wars. I would actually recommend starting with A New Hope and not the prequels because A New Hope is a good way to get you interested into the series. I started with the prequels and they were kind of boring, and I was bored for 3 movies. And then A New Hope was. I think if I started with A New Hope, it would have been much better because it's getting to know the world for the first time. And yeah, it's a really enjoyable movie. The other characters I really like Han Solo and Princess Leia. I think their friendship in this movie is pretty awesome. Although it doesn't really start like a friendship, they don't really like each other. Um, I think it's done really well, and I like all the characters. I like Darth Vader as a villain, although the stormtroopers can't aim at all. Like, they only hit a main character, I think, once in the whole entire original trilogy. They're still cool and menacing villains, which is really important for a movie like this, and I think it's done super well. Um, yeah, the lightsaber fights were probably really cool at the time, but looking back at it now, it looks kind of dated. But it's still pretty cool to see lightsaber fights, even if the ones that Disney has in the movies with Rey, I think are better. Um, I I still think that the lightsaber fights in this are really really cool, and if the technology in the time this movie was made was better, I think they would have been better or even to par with the uh, with the Disney Star Wars movies. Um, yeah, it's a fun movie. It has great characters. It's a great way to start off the movie franchise, and it just it's fun. It's a fun movie. It's nothing crazy. It's just fun. You get the characters and you start to really like them. And yeah, the friendships are awesome. It's just a fun movie. It's nothing spectacular or like mind-boggling crazy that but yeah, I really like it. Now I'm going to move on to The Empire Strikes Back, which I I don't know. I would say this is probably my favorite Star Wars movie. Um I really like this movie. It's definitely either first or second. This movie has so many different, really, really cool parts to it. And there are definitely a lot of this movie is some of my favorite Star Wars scenes. Um, like the scene with him and Yoda in this movie, I think is done really, really well. And everything, like, how can I not talk about the Luke, I am your father scene? It's one of the most iconic scenes in all of film. Like, if you go up to someone who's never watched Star Wars, I guarantee you they will know that scene, which is just crazy. And that this movie still has the amount of impact that it had when it came out. Um, it has such an impact on society and the way films are made. And A New Hope had a huge impact on that too, but I feel like this was the place where A New Hope was where we got the feeling of a new generation of movies, but I feel like this was where like the crazy plot twists and things like that in these movies. It's so cool how much the Star Wars original trilogy changed film. And I feel like this movie is one of the best because of that and because of its place in culture. Um, it, it's an amazing movie. There's definitely some wrong with it, like Leia kissing Luke is makes me really uncomfortable because they're siblings, but the only thing is, they didn't know, and the audience didn't know that they were siblings yet, so I guess. I'm betting the writers did, so why they wrote that scene, I don't know, because it's really, really weird, but we have it. Um, Other than that, it's mostly good, and I'm not saying that this movie's perfect. There's definitely some things that are wrong with it. But I would say there's so many different parts of this movie that I feel like that stand out to me outside of everything in Star Wars. Like, there's definitely some things that I will forget from A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. But I feel like this is the most memorable Star Wars movie. Yeah, it's a fun movie. I also really, really like the character development in this movie. I feel like there's a lot of character development in this movie, and that helps us like the characters a lot more. Because although some characters started out good, there's definitely some characters that have changed throughout the movie for which is why it's called character development. But I feel like the character development was done really well. I also feel like the acting, I feel like this is the best movie acting wise throughout the trilogy. Return of the Jedi is still good. It's just there's some scenes that aren't as great. Yeah, I really really like this movie. Um, And I would say majority of it is not stuff that you could cut out, unlike Return of the Jedi. Um, I feel like everything that was in this movie had a purpose, and everything that happened was awesome. This movie is really, really good. And although there are some parts I will forget, majority of this movie I will remember forever, which is pretty awesome. So, yeah, I really like it. There's a lot of things with characters. There's a lot of things with Darth Vader in this movie also. I feel like the big Darth Vader movie is the end of this movie and all of Return of the Jedi. But the stuff they did with Darth Vader was really, really cool too. And you can definitely tell why people love the Darth Vader character so much just from this movie. Like I said, he has one of the most iconic lines in all of film history. Um, so yeah, he's one of the best villains probably ever. He like Darth Vader is a really good villain, and you get to explore a lot more about him in this movie, and especially in Return of the Jedi, which I am going to talk about now. Return of the Jedi is a great movie. I feel like it gets not hated on, because that goes to the Disney ones, but I don't know. There's a lot wrong with this movie. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of stuff I think should have been cut out. Um, like a lot of the stuff in the woods or forest or whatever you want to call it, a lot of that stuff I feel like could have gone out. The green screen and CGI in this movie is awful, but also for the time period, I'm sure it was awesome. It's just here in 2022, at the time of when I watched this and at the time of filming this, it does not look good. It did not hold up well at all. Um, which is understandable for a movie like this. But there's a lot that I really liked. Like, I like the relationship between Darth Vader and Luke. I think that was done really well. I also like the scene where Yoda dies. I think that was done well. It is a part where you know why he has to die, but it's still it's well done, and it's a very sad scene. The scene where you learn about Leia and Luke being siblings is also done really well, and I feel like that whole entire plot line was done really, really well, and it could have the whole plot line about Darth Vader being Luke and Leia's father, I feel like was done well, and it had a good payoff. It could have just been a wow, shocking twist, and then we're not really going to talk about it. But they didn't do that. It was a big part of this movie, but also there were other parts that were just as interesting. But I feel like the main part of this movie is the fact that they're related and that he has to take his father down and how he doesn't want to do that. Another thing I really liked throughout the whole series, I haven't even talked about this character yet, but was Obi-Wan Kenobi. I feel like he was done really well throughout the whole entire series, and in this movie, his advice to Luke and him talking to Luke, I think was really, really touching scenes between those two, because Obi-Wan is like a father figure to Luke or Ben or whatever, which is really, really cool. Um, yeah, I really, really enjoy the scenes that they are doing for this, and this movie has a lot of filler that I feel like could have been taken out, but a lot of this movie is really, really enjoyable, and some of these scenes are some of my favorite in Star Wars, and although they aren't as iconic as Luke, I am your father, there's still some really, really good parts in this movie. It's the last movie, so it has to be really good. For every scene that is some of the best in Star Wars, though, there's one that's one of the worst. Not one of the worst in Star Wars, but one of the worst in the original trilogy, I'll say nothing compares to the prequels. Um, yeah, it's a really good trilogy. I would recommend watching it if you are wanting to. It's fun, and it's, although some people don't like it, I feel like it's a generally liked movie trilogy. So I really enjoy these films. I would recommend them to anyone who hasn't watched them. But yeah, they're fun. It's a has just enough humor and good characters and good writing. That's the big thing. And all throughout these movies, there definitely are some parts that I feel like could have been taken out, and but overall throughout the whole entire trilogy, I feel like this is the best one, that writing wise. I do think there are definitely some problems with the writing, but compared to the I Like Sam scene, there's nothing compared to that. Nothing. Which I'm the I don't like Sam scene is um one of the best but also worst. And I'm saying that as the worst because it's a meme. So yeah, it's just some of the best writing in Star Wars, some of the best characters in Star Wars. Um, yeah, there's a lot wrong with these movies. I'm not gonna say there isn't, but I feel like the good outweighs the bad in almost every single way. I I really love these movies. I will definitely come back to watching them because I love these characters and I love these storylines. And I would recommend for anyone to come and watch these movies. And if you like them, then you can go laugh at the prequels. And then you can have your opinion over the Disney movies because people are divided on those. So yeah, it's a fun, enjoyable ride, and I would recommend for anyone who likes this style of movie or just has been wanting to watch them, go watch them. They're on Disney Plus. If you watch A New Hope and hate it, you don't have to continue on. But yeah, they're fun. I'm betting all of you have watched it because a lot of people love Star Wars. But yeah, I really like these movies. I will continue to watch these movies, and that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed me talking about the original Star Wars trilogy. Because I definitely love talking about them. So there is that. This video is super long, so I hope you enjoyed it. I love you 3000. Please stay safe, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Bye, guys!